Hello, hello, Bloop London fam. And a happy Tuesday to you. You are currently tuned in to a really cool, special, unique combination show. It's the Urban Soundscapes show with me, Redfreya, combined with Jesabel's show, which is, do you want to just...
Chavera.
Whoop,
Chavera.
Shout out. So our shows are back to back anyway on this day. So we just said, why don't we have Jesabel come on the Urban Soundscape show as a guest? So yeah, shortly, and then combine our shows together for a back to back. So shortly we'll be getting into a chat as usual. But kickstarting you with this track, which is by White Square, Cosmo K. So, as I said, I'm here in the studio. It's me, Redfreya, and I'm here with Jesabel.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so good. Oh my god, it's so freezing outside.
I know, but it's cozy in this studio, that's for sure.
It's super cozy and warm. It's December right now. It's like Christmas vibes. You can hear my voice as well. It's like a little bit hoarse because of the cold, I think. But how are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited to do this. This is my first back-to-back on Bloop.
This is only like my second or third in like 3 years. Like I don't do it very often. I have a lot of guests on the show, but I usually just say, oh yeah, you do your thing. But because today we obviously had the shows were back to back. We're like, let's
Why not?
do
Maybe
it.
Christmas special.
And actually, interestingly, I think only the other couple of people I've done back to backs with on this show were usually people that I'd already played back to back with, like off the show, or like I don't know. We really talked a bit about like the music, and we haven't played back to back, and we haven't even like spoken at all about the vibe of the music. We're like, let's just do it.
Sometimes it's more fun that way. I did a back-to-back the other day, and I mean, it was, you know, in a venue. It was at Coco in London.
Yeah.
And it literally...
Can I just say, I love how you said that so casually. Like, I just did a back-to-back. Dude, you like were opening for Camel Fat music in this sold-out Coco. Can we just take a moment?
It was like honestly the most nuts experience. I'm still like, I can't even believe that it even happened. But that back-to-back, we literally didn't have time to plan it. So we winged it hard and it worked. So I feel like this is going to be the same.
Yeah. No, I mean, like the pressure's slightly less here, I think. But yeah, I can't wait to like ask you all the details about how that night was and just everything. But before we get into all those juicy details, let's introduce you to the listeners of the Urban Soundscapes show. So anyone who hasn't come across you before, obviously you are Jesabel. You've been doing music for about a decade, is that right? And
10 years. It's been like a crazy experience so far. It's full of surprises, I'm sure you know. But yeah, so 10 years I've been DJing for, I don't know if it's obvious, I'm obviously Australian. And I now live in London. I've been here for nearly on a year, which has been really, really cool so far. And I've been really loving it. So yeah, I've kind of just had a bit of a rebirth since I got here, but I'm loving every second. As much as it's stressful and anxiety driven at times, it's also so much fun.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and I completely relate to the whole like up and down and surprises. It's a crazy life, this music life, but we love it, so we wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, so you're obviously Australian. Whereabouts are you from in Australia?
Sydney. So I actually lived pretty close to the centre of Sydney before I moved out here. Originally, I was from southwest Sydney, which was about an hour's drive out of Sydney, and I sort of grew up being pretty musical. I sort of did musical theatre all the way through school. I took music as a subject all the way through school to the end. So I always was very musical, but I guess when I left school and went straight to university, I didn't really have that musical outlet. So I wanted to find something or discover a way of being able to continue my musical journey. And I just happened to be at a party, and I was kind of just so fixated on the DJ to the point where the DJ was like, "Are you all right? Like, why are you just staring at me?
Why are you here?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Everyone else is just having fun."
Yeah,
but like...
yeah, why are you just like fixated on me?
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, no, I'm like just watching."
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, he ended up teaching me on a Wednesday in our local pub, and that pub ended up being my first gig, and then that was the start of like 10 years so far.
Amazing. It's crazy hearing people's like origin stories of like what got them into music in the first place, and I think you've had a pretty amazing journey. I mean, so I know you said that you won an international DJ competition or like Australian DJ competition, and then you kind of won a residency at a club. Like, let's talk about the early stages of your DJ career.
Yeah, of course. So there's a national well, to be fair, it is international now, but at the time there was a national DJ competition called Your Shot, and it just gave people who had no DJ experience a shot, basically. So I took part in that, and that taught me so much. Didn't place, didn't win, but it was still, it's all about the taking part, as they say. And it honestly was like an amazing experience, and I just learned so much from it. And then I did a couple of like local club residency sort of competitions. So it's where you did basically the same thing, but you won a residency. And I did win 2 of those somehow and ended up becoming a resident at one of the local clubs. And I got sort of discovered by some people at Ministry of Sound, and then ended up getting signed to their agency arm there. And then not long after that, their management arm as well. So it all like kind of came on very quickly to start with. And then I guess I was kind of touring a lot of Australia, Southeast Asia and New Zealand from there, which was really cool.
And once you were signed to the booking agency, and then the management arm as well, like did the booking sort of just kind of snowball and start coming in? Like, as you said, you were touring also in like Southeast Asia and places like this. Like, was it suddenly like, oh, you're like so busy this weekend, you're playing? Also, like, I don't know what the music scene is like in Australia. I know it's really big in Melbourne, obviously, but were you also going to other cities like Perth or I don't know, other places around are there clubs everywhere?
Yeah. So I was doing a lot of, I ended up doing every state in Australia off the back of DJing, which was so cool to just be able to explore my own country as well. But mostly the East Coast, so from Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania at times as well. That was where I was mostly playing, but generally all over the country. Pretty much every club. But that was off the back of, I guess, signing with the agency. And they were really good in sort of finding me those gigs. Obviously, it's not all on them. There's as I'm sure as you know, there's definitely a brand to uphold.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it is definitely a different market to the UK and Europe. There's not as, in my experience, there wasn't as much chance to sort of niche down into a genre that I really, really loved and admired. So I think for me it was much more about the party vibes and working the dance floor, which obviously it always is, but there was less chance to niche down and really like find a home for myself with music, which is what ultimately spurred on this move to the UK.
So when you decided to move to the UK sort of intentionally for your own music portfolio, basically, to say you wanted to make that more specialist. And I've spoken to a few friends from Australia, actually. I've heard that this is like quite a big difference between Australia and here, like in Europe and in the UK, but I think in Europe, like generally music is quite specialized. Most artists actually play a very niche genre. It's very rare actually to come across a European DJ who plays like a little bit of everything.
100%. Yeah, it's definitely not that way. Don't get me wrong. There's opportunities for everything in Australia, and there's so much talent that comes out of that country. It's wild. But I guess something that I like really struggled with was being able to sort of like get in a studio and be inspired to write the music, knowing I couldn't play it out, and knowing that ultimately it was going to be hard for me to break through. So I sort of, you know, I stuck to what I wanted to do, which was to be playing every weekend and playing a few times a week, and it did me really well. And I did love the gigs that I was doing, and gosh, if when I go back I might even do a few just for old time's sake. But I think where I'm at right now and the focus that I have on my music and creating music, that's been number one for me. And basically the only reason I'm even in London was just to create the music that set my soul on fire, basically.
And like, let's talk about then who has really inspired you artistically. Like, I know you said you're really drawn to sort of, is it like melodic techno as a genre?
Yeah,
like this kind of sound, like
progressive melodic techno, probably a real combination of the two. I think artists like, you know, Christoph, Frankie Wah have really inspired my journey so far. And then sometimes it's not as much about the artist, but more about the music that you're discovering day to day, which has been really, really cool. And it's funny how much like your interest in music can change so quickly. I think in 12 months, like from where I've gone, like when I first got here, I was like, oh, you know, Taylor Vars, Anima, like love that stuff and still do. But it's funny how like you find certain things in music that you then want to sound like.
Yeah.
And certain things can inspire you. So for instance, my stuff is full of emotion, but then the drops will be really dubby and quite hard. And that's just the combination that I've found works for me. So yeah. That's kind of how I've been inspired so far. And you end up being inspired by your own journey, which is so weird.
Yeah, I mean, also music is like hugely personal, and something that I love about this whole thing is like as a DJ, obviously you're selecting music and you want to cater to the dance floor, you want to educate the dance floor, but your whole repertoire of all the music that you have, a lot of it comes from moments that were like meaningful for you, whether that was like you were on a dance floor at a party and you heard someone play a track and it had an experience, like it was an experience for you, and then that's in your playlist collection, and then you're in a gig and you're play that, or you've listened to it on a recording of a set that was like really impactful for you. But it's really cool to think that every individual artist has had such a unique path that led them to like, that led you to where you are now, like obviously the countries that you've lived in, the people you've known, the experiences you've had. So like no one is at all like similar, because we've all had such different experiences, and that's what like informs us like as artists, because art is very personal. It is kind of like transforming your own emotions, your own experiences and stuff. But I'm really happy to hear that you are taking this step. It's quite a bold move as well to say like, oh, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm kind of like, you know, I'm like king of the roost over here, queen of the roost a bit, you know, like you're touring, you're doing great. And then you're like, I'm actually going to move to the other side of the world. Like it's definitely, did you feel at all like any trepidation when you took that step, or you were just like, you know what, like it's going to be fine?
I think, you know, given my experience back home and having done it for so long, I think I was really at a point where I was like, I need this change. So I was happy to sort of risk it all, I guess. But yeah, don't get me wrong. I came over here knowing one person in music. I had no idea who anybody was. And that was so, I just had no idea where to start. I was like, how am I going to make money? How am I going to survive? How am I going to live? Then how do I get a whole new career off the ground? I feel like I'm born again, starting again. Sometimes it feels like year one for me. And that's really confronting, but so refreshing. And I've so loved the experience of just feeling like I'm creating a whole new brand. And as much as Jesabel is still Jesabel, like it has evolved and it is different, and I'm so thankful for that. And I feel like I'm creating a career right now that will be able to span for the next 20 years, hopefully. That's what I'm working towards, a sustainable long-term career where I get to create the music that I love, play the shows to the people that I love, and we can all just be one big happy community and just loving it.
Love that. Like hashtag like quote, like that's that's a great quote. And it sounds like you kind of wanted to do this for a long time, but you just haven't been able to be more yourself. And I think like the more you step into like what is your authentic self, you're never gonna want to change that. Like it's gonna keep evolving and growing, as you said. Like your sound changes the more experiences you have, you go to different events and things rub off on you. But yeah, the closer you are being to your true self and like making the music, then
I mean, it's funny you say authenticity, because I feel like that is so key and so pivotal to everything. I just feel right now that this is so authentically what I'm supposed to be doing, so much more than any of the last 10 years. And you can have 10 years worth of experience and still not know what you are. And I find that really interesting, because it's taken me all of that time to really get to this point. And there's no amount of anything happening any sooner that would have set it up for success. So I think, authenticity needs to like run through every single thing you do, because people see through it. And that's really interesting how much it can really connect with people. You don't realize the power of that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And yeah, more power to you for that. So let's talk a little bit about the gig at Coco then, because so I guess that was like a really special one for you. Had you been Coco before?
I mean, I shouldn't admit it, but I didn't realize how iconic Coco was.
It's okay to admit it, like, you're new in London, but I mean, it's a huge venue. It used to be called the Camden Palace. It's been around for like 20 years or longer, I don't know. It's like, it's an iconic venue and massive as well. Yeah,
that was like so crazy to me when I got the call up for that. And that was a last minute booking, because the artist who was supposed to be supporting had to pull out last minute. So I kind of got the call up and did a back-to-back with my friend Auric, where I got the call up the day before.
Yeah.
It was nuts. And to go back-to-back with someone, it was my first professional back-to-back as well. Not planning really any part of the set. We sent 3 songs to each other and was like, this is the vibe. And we were like, okay, let's just go for it.
Love that.
And honestly, it's funny how calm I felt when I got there. And I think it helped just having his support, because I was thinking, okay, there's like 2,500 people standing here and we have to nail this, because Camel Fat is literally coming on after.
Yeah. No pressure.
I know. And it's not just Camel Fat, but it's their management and agents and the venue, like booking agent, and obviously then the crowd as well. Like there's just so much at play. So it was like the most amazing experience, my favorite gig to date. I mean, how can it not be? And hopefully there's more to come, because the booth in that venue also is so amazing. Like the sound.
I know. Like I've only played that once as well, and I'm just like, I need to go back to that experience, because it's like it's a crazy venue to play in, because it's the way the room is laid out. You're so connected to everybody. It's quite almost kind of like an intimate feeling with the dance floor, which you don't actually get very often in large venues. Very often you feel quite far away from the crowd. It's harder to feel connected. But I think because also the crowd is like on 2 levels.
Yeah.
You've got all these people, but they're not that far away from you.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. And also you've got VIP behind you, which is kind of cool. So you feel a bit surrounded. Yeah. But Auric tapped me at one point and said, don't look around, but Leonardo DiCaprio is there. And so is Superman, Tobey Maguire. I was like, I can't. I'm just going to pretend that you didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to crack on.
That's insane. Yeah. And I think you should be really proud that like you're at this stage in your career, having only been in London for, as you said, like 12 months.
Well, that means a lot coming from you, because you're literally the queen of London. Like
hustling. But no, I think, it's so important to like celebrate these steps, because I think it's really important to say that like, existing in the music industry, it's a job that you take out of passion. There's a lot of perks of this job, to have a job that you're so passionate about and that you love going to work and doing it. But there's like a lot of downsides of this job as well, of like it requires sacrifice. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of hustling. And as you said, you were talking about like the kind of like the pressure when you get into the booth and Camel Fat's there, Leonardo DiCaprio is there, all this stuff. Like that's also interesting. I know we said before the show that we're going to speak a little bit about mental health, because it's something that I'm so passionate about, of like, it's an interesting thing of how do you take care of your mental health? How do you not feel anxious and stuff when we have to accept that this is a performance-based job?
Yeah.
And if you're actually going to be like a good artist, you're taking risks. Like you are taking risks in the booth, and you don't always, if you're taking a risk, you don't always know how, like the more experimental you're going to be, you don't know how it's going to go down well. Obviously you've been DJing for like a long time, so you have like all this experience under your belt. I think the more experience you have, that's really helpful, especially in situations like in Coco, when you go into that booth there, like at least you know that you've got your technique down, you know. And it's like also those things of like, what's my how, like if something goes wrong in this situation, do I know how to like save myself from it? Because it's also things, I don't know if you ever get this like anxiety about like whether the other day we had the Blue Radio Christmas party like on Friday night, and we had these really old equipment, and this has never happened to me before in a nightclub. Thank God. I want to like touch some wood now. This never happens to me. But we were like playing back to back. I was playing back to back with Karina, and then the CDJ went into an emergency loop on just like, it was like in the middle of the track, and I think we were trying, it was like we couldn't fix it, and I'm thinking like, what do you do if that happens in Coco in a sold out venue, you know? It's like those sort of things can either make you feel anxious or it's like there is that pressure there.
I think we definitely like work in an industry where it's not possible to just keep your mood consistent.
For sure.
There's peaks and troughs constantly. You'll have spikes of like real excitement, and then a couple of days later you'll have like some of the lowest lows because you're just so passionate and so driven to see this work. And that happens to me almost weekly.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny how, you know, that Friday, for instance, when I got the call from Coco, I was having a really awful morning, just thinking like, what is going on? Like, I don't know if this is going to work. And then you get the call and I'm like, is that just a sign from the universe that keep going, you're on the right track? I don't know if it is or not, but I'm just going to take it as that.
Definitely.
Like, I just thought, okay, I'm just going to see it for what it is, and I'm just going to enjoy this. And I think that's where being present really helps, and I'm awful at being present, so I need to take my own advice. But when you can be present in the moment and just thinking like, I'm enjoying this moment and I'm going to enjoy it because I know that this will pass, and then who knows what's around the corner. So it's kind of just like, I just want to enjoy it for what it is right now. And I'm definitely trying to get better at that. But I think, you know, this kind of bleeds into like sort of mental health and anxiety, and that's something that I've suffered with for 15 years. And I feel like that doesn't help because you're always anticipating. So yeah, that's a tricky one for me, and it's a skill that I just continuously will be forever learning. But that doesn't play in. Even the nerves though, the nerves get you as well, and you're like, my heart's gonna beat out my chest, and it's wild.
There's so many, that's what I mean, like there's so many different factors to this. I completely agree with what you said. Well, there's two things I really want to dive into. There's two things that you said. So one about the thing of being present, and like I've also had this own experience myself and talking to friends about it, of like the more it's like, don't focus on your ego. Don't focus on like whether you are good, whether you are XYZ, because like, well, for one thing, it shouldn't even be about that. Like your job is to like make a vibe in the room. So it's a service role. It's like, I'm going to this room and I just want to like find some good tunes, you know. It's not like, oh, am I good? But the music industry unfortunately does put us under like a lot of what's the word, like there's kind of like a scrutiny, magnifying glass on you, where it kind of, it's then you do feel a bit like you're being judged all the time. It's like on Strictly Come Dancing where they're all like holding up the things of like, oh, we're gonna say how good you are or not. But I think the more you detach from that and the more you focus on like, am I enjoying this, and am I being truthful to myself, and am I like creating the vibe that I think is right here, then I think that is hugely powerful. I like what you said about it's something that you were working with. I mean, I'm a person, I have like a lot of like anxiety as well. Like at times I thought this was completely normal. I also had times when I literally, like before I kind of delved a bit more into mental health, I thought that everybody feels like this all the time. And then I met some other friends and they're like, no, I don't ever like get stressed in that same way. And I was like, oh, just me then. But I think it's quite common amongst artists. I think like to deal with, and people who have like a performance career like us, to deal with like anxiety and stuff. But I think it's one of those things that the more you work on it, it's like a practice. It is like a, you know, if you're doing proactive things to work on it, it kind of gets easier and better. And if you take your eye off the ball and you stop doing that and you start drinking 5 coffees a day and like going on social media loads and I don't know, doing other things that are proven to be pretty anxiety inducing, or like you make your schedule super, super busy and hectic, unsurprising that you're probably going to be anxious.
I think there's a certain level of having like a healthy tension in life where, I mean, I know with a certain level of pressure applied, I can really achieve things in life, and that can be small tasks or big. But I think the minute I have a very, very sort of thin line when it comes to that. The minute I cross it, I'm just an absolute like ball of nerves. It's not a great place to be, and it's so hard to control once you do get past that point. So I think like really tuning into yourself is important, and again, easier said than done. But yeah, tuning into yourself and doing what feels authentic to you overall, but then being true to yourself, like you say, like in the moment, and like what can I handle right now and what can I not, and just checking in with yourself regularly, and just feeling like you are balanced is important as well.
And another thing that you said before that I really love, that I just want to draw attention to anyone listening to this show, is this thing of it being a bit of a roller coaster of like thrill and excitement of sort of, I'm on top of the world, my career is going great, I have all these bookings, everything's going great, I'm killing it. And then, like, I don't know, a booking gets cancelled, or you don't get booked for something, and like everyone else you know gets booked for it, or all these sort of things. They're very normal, happens in the music industry all the time. And then you can have like a negative spiral of like, okay, my career's over, like everything's terrible, I'm doing really badly. And it's like trying to find that healthy midline, like balance, right? Like the midline is always, is like, that's the best way to live life.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit difficult to achieve in the music industry specifically, because there is all this like excitement and anticipation, and I think it's almost the high highs are also part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to not get super excited if you get like a huge booking. You're like, oh my god, losing my shit, you know? But then like it's literally like what goes up must come down, because you can't keep those highs sustained all the time. Like you will have a quiet period afterwards at some point, unless you're like a superstar DJ and you're like touring the world all the time. Those people just live on a high all the time, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well, from going and doing 10 years and kind of being, you know, somewhat up the top and then bringing myself back down really humbled me. Not to say that I was, you know, I thought I was high and mighty before, but I think when you are coming from that place of like, you know, being humble, it's kind of like when you achieve something cool, it almost comes as a surprise. I'm still definitely so much in that zone, because I think, you know, I don't know everyone, not everyone knows me. There's still so much further to go, and I think if you're continuing to like level up and set yourself like a further goal, then you never reach it. So then technically you should always be pretty humble,
for sure.
And I think for me that's really helped, because it's kind of like it makes those things that you achieve so incredible, and it doesn't make you look at other people's careers as much and think, oh, why are they getting out and I'm not. Yeah, I think that's definitely sort of, I probably could have worded that better, but I do definitely feel like that has been better for me. I'm just really like on my own path, and it doesn't really matter what anyone else is doing. There is so much room in this industry, and we can't all have everything, and sometimes I don't even know whether I'd want it all at once. So
exactly. Yeah, I think these are some really powerful words, and I think it's really nice to speak about this, because I think social media, it's like a really one-dimensional platform, and I think that it can kind of induce those feelings a little bit. Even if you're really of the mind that like, I'm myself, I'm doing my own journey, like this is what I'm about, whatever. If you go on a tool and you're constantly exposed to like, I guess it's like LinkedIn with people's CVs as well. It's like you just see the highlights of everyone achieving all these things. It's kind of natural that it would trigger in you, like not necessarily jealousy, but that you might then question like, well, why am I not good enough, or like why am I not doing? And yeah, I think again, the more mindful you are about these things, then you can actually take control of that, and you can like be proactive. And as you said, like, it's an artistic journey. This is about being you, and this is about being yourself and doing your sound, and that's going to have its own time frame.
100%. You know? Yeah.
Like,
so
like,
you can't compare. It's like the two different people walking around. You'll never compare it. Like you can't, like it's actually impossible. And I don't know why we all try and strive to compare, because it's actually just not possible to do it. So I think it's just the wiring of our brains. I think it's just like we have human like nature. This like Neanderthalic wiring like in the base of our brain that gets like the wires just get tripped all the time. Like our higher consciousness and our higher brain would say like, no, like don't do that. But if you sink into that kind of lower level of thinking about things, you just kind of get triggered by stuff all the time, 100%.
you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This is really cool to talk about. I'm really glad that we're speaking about it on the show today because, I think also the more that people speak about mental health in the music industry, it just becomes a safer, more inclusive space for everybody.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going through these struggles, whether or not people speak about it. Like, it is a stressful place, a stressful environment to exist within. But yeah, so what's coming up next for you? Like, I know you're working a lot on music and productions. Like,
yeah, I guess music has been and production has been my focus for the last 12 months, and obviously it will continue to be. But my goal was to sort of tie up my release schedule for the next 12 months to come, and I'm getting pretty close to that. That's the goal. We'll see if it comes to fruition, but I've started with a 4-track deal with 03, which is really exciting, and so we've got the first one coming out in March. So I've not even mentioned that anyway yet, by the way.
So, I wish we had like a button of like cheers. Like, I wish we could add that on afterwards. But yeah, congrats on that. You should do like a release party. You should do like a little party.
I think I want to do I mean, I definitely want to, but me being me and my organisation and planning for things like that is not great. But I would like to celebrate it because it is quite a milestone for me, and I'm really excited about it.
You definitely should. If you need any help, like me and older girls will help you. Like,
I love that. I would love your input. But yeah, so that's exciting. So they'll be coming out next year, and then there's a couple of other things that I'm sort of working towards, and obviously, music is a constant thing. So I'm sort of in the studio a couple of times a week, just discovering sounds and discovering myself, and working with some other really cool engineers who I'm really just learning so much from. I'm a literal sponge absorbing everything. So yeah, exciting times. Few more shows hopefully going into the calendar for next year as well. So working across those things, and we'll just see how it goes. I'm just being chill. Whatever comes to me, and I'm just gonna work my ass off. Yeah. In the meantime.
I love that. I love that for you. I'm really excited for the EP. Maybe you can send me like a sneak preview. Like, can't be played on the radio. But yeah, definitely would be great for you to do a release party. And yeah, I think right about now, what time is it now? I think we should probably jump into some music.
Yeah,
so we actually had quite a long, fruitful chat today. But yeah, you should be really proud of yourself for all of the progress you've been making. There's a really big step with this EP coming out next year.
Right back at you, girl. Queen of London here, everyone.
Female empowerment vibes on the show today. Like, we love it. Like, we're here for it. But yeah, and today, instead of just a guest mix, we're actually going to go back to back. As we said, we haven't planned anything, so it's going to be very interesting and dynamic. But yeah, get locked. We're going to be live for the next hour and a half, guys. So yes, stay with us, and thanks for tuning in. just a reminder that you will be able to find the track lists from this back-to-back on Instagram. You'll be able to find it on my Instagram at Redfreya DJ, and also Jesabel's Instagram will be posted up there after the show. This track is One Step to the Moon by Leha. Shout out to Leha. He's been releasing some amazing music this year. And lots more great tracks to come.
And just took one touch, and now I'm heated. Open my third eye, no cover for dreaming. I'm finally seeing